Hi folks, so I've had a couple requests asking me to kind of touch on what I mean about the whole of ourselves holding all of our experience. And I use that idea of, that the whole is always greater than the sum of its parts. And I think what I'd like to do is to read a couple quotes. And these are both in my book, Beyond the Storm, A Guide to Emotional Freedom, and the piece that's always already here. And both these quotes are by a Chinese sage called Wu. And I quote him quite a bit inside my book because I really love what he writes. So this is the first quote. The greatest crime is the overlooking of who you really are in favor of the story of who you think you are. This preoccupation with your personal drama is the cloud that masks the sun. And then the next quote, same guy, is here is the utter simplicity of the matter. In the absence of identification with anything, who are you? Or better still, what are you? So let me read those two again, just so you can kind of digest them, and then I'll say a few words about them. So the greatest crime is the overlooking of who you really are in favor of the story of who you think you are. This preoccupation with your personal drama is the cloud that masks the sun. And the second one is, here is the utter simplicity of the matter. In the absence of identification with anything, who are you? Or better still, what are you? This lovely dog, by the way, is Eleanor. She is not particularly graceful, as you saw. So, when I mention holding the entirety of our experience, the entirety of everything that comes up for ourselves, from a place of wholeness, basically, I'm talking about what Wusin is referring to as that self that is here prior to identification, that self that is here prior to our drama. So the best example that I can give of this is that anyone who has ever been totally in flow with an activity, whether that is skiing down the slope, painting, sex, riding a bike, any place where you're so in line with your experience that you have really no concept of yourself in that moment. There's no story about you. There's no you are a man or a woman, 26, 54. There's no bills to pay. There's no issues with your mate. There's no job stuff to think about. You're literally the present moment. You're one with your experience. There is a presence that lives in us beyond everything we think of as ourselves. And that presence is very spacious, very wide, and it literally holds everything that we are. It holds every moment, it holds every experience, and it holds us at any point in time in our lives. And so when I say to, meet ourselves from that place, what I'm basically inviting you to do is, rather than become whatever is happening in you, through you, around you, and become totally identified with that, step back a little bit and notice that you are the one seeing everything and feeling everything that's happening. So if an anxiety is arising, rather than becoming the anxious one and totally identifying and indulging in being anxious, and then you're totally caught up with it, being able to step back and say, oh, wow, something in me, a part of me, is anxious. And then the moment you have done that, you're able to be there for it rather than become it. And then in that moment, that's when you hold space. You know, you make yourself big enough, you relax, you see what's happening, you see what's arising. Maybe you touch, you put a hand on your chest or on your belly or wherever that anxiety feels very alive for you. And then in that moment when you're not identified with it, you've literally stepped back and you are something beyond. You're something beyond it, you're something greater than it. Because the truth is, for you to be able to witness it and hold it, you have to be greater than it. So my invitation is always not to transcend, because then we go into something that might be kind of like spiritual bypassing. This house is a mess between dogs and everything. So we don't want to spiritual bypass anything, but we want to be wide enough that we can hold it all. And that's when the gentleness comes in. That's when the genuine curiosity comes in. And more or less, I think that's what I mean. Like, getting to know who you are beyond your drama. When everything drops away. When, the idea of yourself drops away. Your history drops away. Whatever conflict you're going through drops away. The fact that you're a man or a woman drops away. Your age drops away. Your roles drop away. Everything drop away. Then who are you then? And literally allowing all of it to melt and then holding space for it all. Being wide enough that you can be here for it rather than become it. I'm not sure if that was helpful. Hopefully it was.